The Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission is delighted to partner with students from Queen's University Belfast on this project. These innovative animations provide a vital tool to raise awareness of climate change as a human rights issue. Climate change threatens the effective enjoyment of a range of human rights, including the right to life, water and sanitation, food, health, housing, self-determination, culture and development. Governments have a human rights obligation to prevent the foreseeable adverse effects of climate change and ensure that those affected by it, particularly those in vulnerable situations, have access to effective remedies and means of adaptation to enjoy lives of human dignity. The UK will host the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP26, in Glasgow from the 1st to the 12th of November 2021. The COP26 summit will bring parties together to accelerate action towards the goals of the Paris Agreement and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The theme of this year's summit is Together for Our Planet, in recognition that while governments and large corporations must take the lead, each of us nonetheless has a part to play through how we lead our lives. Businesses, universities, schools, civil society groups and other organisations should all be part of the conversation and catalysts for tackling climate change. This animation project is therefore a particularly timely and important initiative. We hope that everyone will watch the animations and consider the wider issues they raise. Thank you.
Hello everyone. When I first watched these animations produced by broadcast students here at Queen's University, I was struck by the passion of the voices. In this animation project, which contains 2 distinct films, our students managed to tell the story of climate change and environmental damage through the eyes of Nia and Dakota, but also to present a universal story in ecological message that is pertinent to us all, regardless of age. Today's young people have come of age in a world that is in rapid flux and that faces challenges of unprecedented complexity and scale. Their opinions matter, their voices matter. After all, the future belongs to young people, and what they say and think today matters to what might come tomorrow. This project, produced with generous funding from the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission and implemented by my colleague Dawn Duncan here at Queen's, is an excellent example of the kinds of voices and stories we need to be hearing more of. I would like to thank and commend the broadcast students involved: Isabella Schultz, Ryan Hogg, Rory Hughes, Boyan Zhang, Melissa Ray and Shauna Graham for their creativity and their skill in applying the broadcast journalism skills they learned with us here to another medium, animation. I'd also like to acknowledge the excellent sound design work on both of these films undertaken by a recent graduate of ours in music, Jonathan Steenson. My thanks also to all the animators involved in this project at Enter Yes, a wonderful award-winning local animation company. Thank you for your creative input and generosity of spirit in this collaboration. Finally, I'd like to thank and commend the funder, the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission, for recognising the importance of younger people in this vital conversation, for choosing our broadcast students to shepherd this project, and crucially, for giving those students the space and creative freedom in which to find and articulate their voice when it comes to this important issue. I thoroughly enjoyed watching these powerful stories, and I'm sure after today's launch that many more people will too. I expect these voices to spread far and wide, bringing Nia's and Dakota's story to many, many people. Well done to all involved.
Thanks very much, Nola. So I believe, Claire, we've got our first team standing by that was in charge of one of the 2 videos that's going out.
Yeah, thanks, Dawn. Yes, the first group that we're going to hear from concentrated on a character, a young woman from Northern Ireland, Nia Matthews. So we're going to listen to this group and hear about the process in making the animation.
We're in our 20s, and the generation under us that are like in their teens are just very aware of climate change and the climate crisis, and are worried about what's going to happen with our planet. And I think there's just an underillustration in the younger generation of our voices not being heard. Like Nia is saying in the animation, which we'll watch later, like whereas students are being forced to make major life decisions of what school we go to, what we study, and it all seems very final. But then when we're actually passionate about something, like climate change in this case, or human rights, we're not really being heard. So I think that's sort of what the project started on.
Yeah, because I mean, whenever you sort of came to us with the idea, Isabel, that was one of the first things that went in my head, was previously talking to Nia and hear her talk about all these kind of frustrations in life and how it felt like even only at sort of 16, 17 that everything was getting away from her and she didn't know what kind of she was entitled to and what she was sort of allowed to ask for and allowed to sort of aim for. And I think it was really, really interesting to be able to firstly show Nia, but then Nia kind of can show her friends that all of these things can be achieved and all of these things are fundamentally a right. And on top of that is a similar right to protect the environment and ensure that you have somewhere safe to live in and grow and educate yourself and all of that really important stuff.
It almost comes into that lack of access to information that we didn't really have 10 years ago about, well, the climate crisis. To an extent, it wasn't a mainstream issue. And responses to it weren't, it wasn't widespread outrage. It was definitely a minority. And it seems now that there needed to be kind of more holistic approach to education and how you can actually influence policy whenever you become an adult and go to university.
Yeah, what I loved about recording the interview is at first Nia was kind of shy because she hadn't met us at first, and then like we kind of guided her a bit into it, saying like, look, this is really free, we just want to basically hear your opinion, like tell us about your experience, how is it with your friends in school, how do you feel about all of this? And then we got 2 hours of like raw material out of it, because she just started talking and then she was saying, this is frustrating me and this is frustrating and my friends do this and my friends do that. But then when there actually is something we think we can go to and help, like the Fridays for Future March, school was making it basically impossible for the students to go there and forcing them to stay in school because over some failed day, or they would be marked down in their marks because they're attending the demonstration, and they were only allowed to go with their parents' permission slips. And I just feel like a lot of the times the education system is maybe putting unnecessary blocks into people's ways, while a bit of support would like help so many people realize how important they are as a single person in this movement. Because often I feel like the message is you need to be a perfectly informed human rights activist or a perfect eco-activist, or you have to like live this perfect zero waste lifestyle. That's not true. Every little thing counts, which is why we put the emphasis then on her, for example, on the way to school, picking up wrappers, because that counts. Like that wrapper is off the street and out of nature. So I think a lot of students and young people in general are kind of made to feel insignificant because their voices aren't heard, and they're just sort of pushed into this mold that society kind of needs them to be in. Like, go get your education, go into a job, like care about stuff later. But that's not an option for us anymore. Like, we need to care now and we need to act now.
Yeah, and that was kind of the intention behind a lot of the animation, was that we wanted Nia to begin as this kind of singular, alone, isolated character where she was trying to affect change. But then as she sort of moved through the story, that she was met with other people and there was kind of a rallying crowd around her, and that was where sort of real fundamental change was going to come through. But I think so much of that was that we were able to work with Jonathan, and he was able to help us kind of find that audio and give us that sound to make it real and make it feel real, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think sound was a major aspect of like bringing sort of the emotion we had behind it, because obviously just Nia talking was powerful, but then like the sounds coming in and then pairing up with the animation, I think made it a statement. So Jonathan, maybe you want to talk about how you went about finding the sounds, because I know we just gave you the script and some ideas. Because we hadn't worked with it so far, but then you came up with a really lovely sound design there.
Well, like for the protest bits, there is like so much out there, because like usually when I'm using that kind of stuff, it's usually like free audio I can find on the internet. And there were so many clips of like protest for exactly what you're discussing, you know, about the climate. So that was very surprising. Like, you know, from England, from Northern Ireland, there was actually quite a lot of material I could use, which I just thought that was actually very surprising. Like the fact it's such a big issue.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of, we wanted to amplify that and show that there are Fridays for Future marches and there are various marches, but it's as important as someone just picking up rubbish on their way to school or way to work or whatever. And it's those little small things can lead into those bigger protests, and it's a great thing that the sound is so much more available because the protests are becoming more and more frequent. And I think it's wonderful that we were able to find that and just kind of go, this is something that's important. These people are saying this is important. Maybe you should look at it and see why it's important too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the importance of it is that like every little thing counts, which I think is our main message of the animation. So whether it's standing up to your teacher who's telling you to do something that you don't feel comfortable, or picking up wrappers, or going to a march, all of these things matter. And that's what we wanted to convey in the animation, which I think we're going to go and watch now. So we hope you enjoy.
I know from the walk from the bus stop to school every morning, see sausage roll packets all over the ground, and it would literally just be me walking down the road picking up wrappers and throwing them in the bin, because you kind of feel frustrated as well, because if you're doing something and someone else isn't, you kind of feel like that's cancelling out what you're doing. People who are younger feel like they don't have a voice because they had to go through the struggle of trying to get adults to listen to them. It's like these people are the ones that are the adults, they're the ones that are meant to look after you, but they'll still put you in the situation of, oh, you're 16, 17 years old, decide your university, decide your life choices, that's your future, but I'm working towards a future that might not be there. The whole point you go to school is to be educated and stuff. I don't even think I could say half my human rights, because it's not really one of those list of things that you learn. But now, because something's wrong is being done against me, I feel like I need to educate myself on what I need to know, what's right and wrong, and what I am entitled to as a human.
Thanks, guys. That was a powerful animation from the first group. Now we're going to hear from the second group, and this animation concentrates on a young woman from Northern Ireland, Dakota Reid, who will also be sharing her story and taking part in the group discussion.
Yeah, so I was so pleased to be asked to get to speak about something that I'm passionate about. And I am passionate about environmental issues, but specifically butterflies and moths. So it was really nice to get a platform with you guys to sort of just talk quite freely about these issues. And I was able to bring in a lot of stuff, you know, things I've done sort of around Queens and things I've done around my business and all sorts of things. And it was a really nice sort of open space just to talk about my interests, because really my whole life really revolves around environmentalism and everything. So yeah, it was just really nice to get to talk about this and then sort of be part of this amazing project, which has been really enjoyable from my point of view. And you guys put so much work into it.
Yeah, it's been really interesting hearing your perspective from everything as well, because I don't know about anyone else who was part of it, but when it comes to things with the environment, it's always so much like you need to go and you need to delve and you need to look yourself. It's not so much given to you as openly as it probably should be. So it was really nice interviewing with you and you telling us everything that's been going on, and it's like, whoa, what? That's happening. And with you being so young as well, like all of us, like doing it, it was a really good experience to learn more about that.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. And at first when I heard about a topic about butterfly, all I can think about is butterfly effect. Like I've been talking through the whole process when we were producing. So for me, I think that the butterfly wings or just one butterfly, the buzz from the butterfly could bring a disaster. It could bring a storm, but I hope that it could also bring a huge change to our land or even to the world. So I'm just thinking about it. So why not we just get started from here and just let us be just a small part of the world. We are just like a butterfly, so we're just like helping to launch what we are thinking about, our concern, like we're representing the young generation. So each of us is just like one butterfly on this land. So every buzz that we're making, every buzz that our wings are making could bring a positive change to the world.
Yeah, especially with when you said about bringing change to the world, it's so hard to imagine being like one person in wee Northern Ireland, thinking of like changing lots of different things worldwide.
So we don't have to be that big part. So I think the topic could be a little bit big, because when I was hearing about human rights and climate change, it seems like some of the really big things, but less if we just focus on some tiny things on our daily life that we could see, or even just a buzz could bring us a big change. Yeah, so we're just like really tiny species in this world, but we are bringing changes to the world as well, and we're improving our environments, and we're helping other people, or probably helping some other species to live here longer, to help them to survive better.
It's really nice to get into the detail and look at the specific people that are trying to make changes in daily life, like you started your own sustainable business, and that's fantastic. But you're also advocating and using your voice in other areas as well. Because we could have done an animation on like a big company or someone doing big massive things, but it was so much nicer to do something specific to Dakota. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, I think that's the most wonderful thing for us and for the environment, and if we're going to bigger, probably for the whole country.
Yeah, and like we've been looking at the animation side of things, but there was also the sound with Jonathan, and like how different was that for you as well, like going through the sound and creating that for the piece?
Well, like that was my first sound design work other than uni. So it was really nice to actually be doing something that was, an important topic. And when I was going through the sounds, like I sang another video when I was looking for like the protest signs, like but there's so much abundance online to like, select for material. Because like I usually use like free signs from the internet, but there's so much from like the UK and Northern Ireland who just really highlighted the issue. So that was important.
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't realise just how much goes on here sometimes.
Yeah.
Or if it's protesting, it's for things that it's not about environment, it's for other reasons. So it's nice to see that everyone's kind of coming together for a united factor, united reason for environmental change.
That's the thing too. When we were working together as a team, that's what I find. It wasn't actually challenging. It was more we were bringing ideas together and we were culminating into like this sort of, idea of making a story, and a really good one that tells a personal take on climate change rather than just, the general effects of what's happening. And oh my God, it gets so boring sometimes. But bringing Dakota's like perspective on it, and she has so much, experience with this. I thought it was absolutely perfect. Like, and especially focusing on her particular interest, which was preserving the butterflies and things in Northern Ireland. That's what you need. You need somebody who actually has this personal interest and something, that drives them forward to make this change. And especially someone young as well, having such like passion for it. I thought, yes, this is exactly what you want to be doing when you're making a documentary, taking a personal story and bringing it out there, inspiring others. So, yeah.
And that's the core for, I think that's the core for our concern as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely became that, especially as it went on. It became all of our little project, which was really good. Yeah, and with that, it's really, really exciting to be able to share the wee project with everyone as well. So we'll probably go to the animation now and have it play, and we're really excited for everyone to see it.
I've always been out looking for butterflies. Butterflies really encapsulate the fragility of our environment. It makes you realise just how much we have in Northern Ireland in terms of biodiversity, and also how much we have to lose. Politicians really need to start listening. Our voices are never being listened to. We always go back to the same issue. It is a human right to have a healthy environment. Young people, we are the future. We do have a voice that we're not afraid to use. Young people are organising and taking control of their futures and really doing something about these issues that they're so passionate about. Seeing those impacts fan out in the future, sort of like a butterfly effect. Every contribution and every person who's appreciating the environment a little bit more is sort of adding to the hope that we can create a better future.
Guys, thank you so much. That was really lovely. And thanks so much for all the hard work on that. I, again, would love to say thank you on behalf of the students and on behalf of Queen's to Claire and NIHRC and the whole team there. Claire, I'll hand over to you now for any last words.
Thanks, Dawn. And again, just wanted to really extend our thanks to the students and to Enter-Yes and to Dawn for participating in this project. It was very important for the Commission not to script the views of young people and really have their voice heard and make this as a project about participation of young people in Northern Ireland. And we think we've achieved this with the animations. And again, we'd want everybody to share them as widely as possible. Thank you.